Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Kandid Konvsations with K and K. I am Kimberly Coleman of Sister Girl Speaks, and right next to me is Kay Renee of Karen's Nuggets. How are you, Kay? And Kay, if you can, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Kay. So I don't know what's going on. I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
can
I
you hear
can.
me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yay.
Hello, everyone.
The ancestors said yes for Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, yes. Everybody. Happy Juneteenth.
Everyone.
Yesterday, this week, the Senate unanimously, you all, Republicans and Democrats, passed a bill that said Juneteenth, which is really tomorrow, is a federal holiday. It was then taken to the House on Wednesday, I believe, and it was passed. I think only 11 Republicans did not pass the bill, did not want it passed or voted against it. And then yesterday, President Joseph R. Biden passed it as a federal holiday. And sometimes it takes 3 days or 3 years for a federal holiday to be coming into effect. Because I think that's what happened with Martin Luther King. But President Joseph R. Biden said, you all got the day off on Friday. Right, Kay?
Well, it's interesting that he now is part of history, as Ronald Reagan was when he passed Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday to be a federal holiday.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of people who have mixed feelings about this. I am grateful that this has happened because, this has been building steam for a long time.
Right.
What was what accelerated it more was when George Floyd on May 25th, 2020 was murdered.
Right.
And the whole saw.
Right.
But, as I spoke with you off stage, that we still have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
This is a start, but we got a lot of work to do.
Yes. And I understand, we still have the John Lewis bill that needs to be passed. That is the voter protection bill that needs to be passed. There is the George Floyd bill that needs to be passed. That is the bill regarding police brutality and how police handle certain things. So those things need to be passed. And we recognize that. But we want to honor this holiday. Many people said it doesn't make a difference to me about this holiday. This holiday is not about you. It's not about me. It's not about Kay Renee. This is about those people that were enslaved, that found out on a certain day that they were no longer to be enslaved. That after was 21619 till 1860, they didn't find out till 65, I believe. That since then, generations upon generations upon generations, not to mention the people that were lost during the transatlantic slave trade, during the treacherous voyage of Middle Passage, that they would no longer work for white people for free. Now, I understand that, some people got a problem and say, well, that's just a nugget. Excuse the pun, K. But that's a big deal. Imagine how they felt. Imagine how you feel. And this is really that comparison when you quit a job that you hate and you can pay for it. Take that and add 1,000 times over, 1,000,000 times over. So we recognize those ancestors and we give a big shout out to Miss Opal Lee of Texas, who was there at the signing, whose family has gone through many things. I think the Klan torched her home. She was a big proponent of getting this bill to become a holiday. And so we want to give a shout out to her. Correct, Miss Kay?
Absolutely. Not only, I mean, the fact that she was just so poised and so astute. Now, mind you, ladies and gents, Miss Opal is 94 years young, and she's
Yes.
been through some things. And I
Yes.
guarantee you, her immediate family were once enslaved. So you
Yes.
think about that. And so
Yes.
now she got a chance to see history, that she's the legacy of her ancestors, as we all are. That our ancestors, we are descendants of individuals who were enslaved. And
Right.
now we have to remember this
This,
moment.
this is a celebration of endurance. Of we're still here. We
And
came over
we're not going
here,
anywhere.
but we were stripped of everything. Our native tongue, our religion. We were stripped of our family, our name. We came over here with nothing. And look at us now. That's something to be. We have never celebrated the fact that we survived this. That was not easy. So
Nope.
let's celebrate that. Let's
And
be
it's
happy.
interesting. I posed the question to Art a few nights ago. I said, what would you be if you were born during that time? I know where I would be. Probably not here.
I don't
Because
know.
knowing who I am. Mm-mm. So the fact that I've had descendants who had to bite their tongue so I could speak my tongue, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, I know that slavery was a very serious thing, and it was not, but
Absolutely.
Black people. One of the things that has gotten us through is humor, and I
Yeah.
always say to people, I'm afraid of my own shadow. So they would have probably come to me and go, Kim, we getting ready to go on the Underground Railroad. And I'd be like, I'll be on the next trip. I would always have been, because I'd be too afraid. That wouldn't have been me. I would have always been the one to be quiet, don't say nothing. But that would be me. But anyway, happy Juneteenth, everyone. I know they have a lot of activities in Chicago. We have a few here in Oklahoma. Texas is not too far down the road. They have a bunch of stuff, especially in Dallas and in Galveston.
And Houston. I know here in Chicago, they do have a lot of activities. In fact, one of our local news anchors here is going to be doing a special tonight, talking about freedom and
Okay.
what Juneteenth means to all of us, but particularly the Black community. And speaking of being televised, I think a certain former president and a certain Hall of
Former
Famer
NFL.
had a conversation prior to us coming on the air.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Michael Strahan and President Obama and a bunch of other people, of course, John Legend, he's on everything, did a special on ABC. I think it just went off as we came on. And so you'll probably be able to watch that on Hulu tomorrow, and look at that special. Also, if I can recommend something else, Oprah picked a book this month. It's called, I can't bring it up because it's holding my laptop up. It's called The Sweetness of Water. And it's a story, a fictitious story about two slaves who are freed, after Juneteenth. I believe it's after Juneteenth. And what they have to do to what they want to do, because all of a sudden, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have a phone. Like, what's going on? So what they do, and so I just ordered it on Amazon. I'm going to read it probably over the weekend. Oprah's doing a lot of podcasts about it, so that's something. If you want to pick that up this weekend for Juneteenth to look at, because there's a question: what did the slaves do? We saw Roots and how they handled it, because in Roots they all go to Tennessee. They all went to Tennessee for whatever reason. But that's just something to think about. So anyway, we have two great guests coming up. I see a couple of them in the waiting room, and we're going to get with you in just a few minutes. Also, this weekend is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. out
Yeah.
there who are being real fathers. Happy Father's Day to my father. Happily Heavenly Father. What do you want to say, Kay Renee?
Right. Well, for me, there was a time after my father transitioned that it was just this time of year was very difficult. So for those who've lost fathers, grandfathers, uncles, brothers, husbands, I definitely am with you, because my beloved father is now with me in spirit. And I have an original quote that really is so succinct. It emulates my dad. But my dad, I was a daddy's girl. I'm always a daddy's girl. I think you're a daddy's
Mm-hmm.
girl as well.
Yeah, yeah.
He was very strong. He was extremely witty, Mr. James.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't take no mess.
Mm-hmm. That sounds
I wonder if
familiar.
you wonder where I got that from, right?
That sounds familiar.
But he spoke his mind. It was interesting about my dad. When he was younger, he stuttered. I didn't know that until he was about to transition. He started
Mm-hmm.
stuttering again. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and I think I've shared this on this platform. My father was a recovering alcoholic. And throughout my childhood, I experienced that that happened early in my childhood. But when he made the decision to give up alcohol, it was the best thing that he could have done. And I wrote a piece last year about the promise
Mm-hmm.
that he made to me, because when he went into rehab, I told him, I said, listen, you got to do this for you, not for me, not for mommy, not for grandma, you. But if you're going to do this, when I get married, I want you to walk me down that aisle. He stopped drinking. He kept his
Mm-hmm.
promise. And so a lot of men are fallible. They have faults like we all do. But the one thing that I really will say about my dad was he owned it. He owned to whatever faults he had. He lived his life, and he always wanted to help people, including his family. So, as this Father's Day for me, I'm not sad. I'm just very reflective and just extremely grateful that I'm
Mm-hmm.
his daughter, and I can be like my
Awesome.
mom, carry the legacy of what they want, what they've expected of me. So,
That's good. That's good. My father grew up in Chicago. He was born in Mount Bayou, Mississippi. His father died when he was 3 years old. My grandfather went to his father's funeral, came back and died very young. I think he was 43. Um, and because of the atrocities and the lynchings that were going on in Mississippi, my grandmother moved. She had 11 children. I think two died, so 9 children. Her four youngest she brought up to Chicago from
mhm.
Mount Bayou, and they grew up in the Robert Taylor projects. My father went to Crane High School in Chicago and subsequently went into the Marine Corps after after high school. He then worked for UPS for 30 years, retired at the age of 53. And everybody told him he was crazy, that he would get bored. No. He and mom have led a very traveled life. They've traveled all over the world, live in Arizona, retired. Uh, and my dad's always been a hard worker and has always taken care of his family. I'm a daddy's girl when he's not, upset with me. But my dad has been a great. There was always enough food in the refrigerator. There was always, utilities never cut off. The thing about both of my parents, family came first. Family. I don't think my father, except when he was teaching, when we were growing up, he would go. He was teaching, but he was never away from home for more than 2 weeks. We went on trips. We went to museums. That's what we did on the weekends. We went to museums. My father was very into, making sure that we knew about history. So it was nothing for us to go to the, Shed Aquarium, Museum of Science and Industry. But if family and still comes first. So
it's something about parallel. Both of your father, my father, both were born in Mississippi.
Yeah, you know, Chicago
and
South.
Both, because my dad was from Anguilla, which is in the Delta.
Right.
The fact that your father worked for UPS, my father worked for the Postal Service.
Oh, that's right.
And he's the oldest of 12 children.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas your father, I'm sure he was up there, as far as the
he
rank.
was yeah.
And it's just interesting as you tell your story. I said, "Wow, parallel." And it's,
parallel.
I can understand why we connected.
Yeah. So we want to give a shout out to our fathers, earthly and heavenly fathers, and wish them this is their weekend. You know, there have been many jokes around. There was one joke going around where the mother got the lobster and the flowers, and then Father's Day is showed the father out barbecuing. But we don't want to do that to fathers. So we just want to give a shout out to the fathers. We have two excellent fathers with us now. We want to bring them up and introduce them. Kay, I'm going to as I bring Reverend R. Ken up, I want you to introduce him.
Absolutely. I've had the wonderful privilege of knowing this man. Oh God, it's been a long time, but in that time, I have watched his evolution. I have watched his spiritual growth. This man, the Reverend R. Ken Turner, not only he's a minister, he's an author. He's a podcast host, so he knows about podcasts.
Yes.
And how Reverend R. Ken and I met because we attend the same church, Christ Universal Temple, under the direction of our spiritual mom, the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. And R. Ken, let me just give you some bits about him, some nuggets. He received his Universal Foundation for Better Living teaching license and graduated from the Johnny Coleman Institute in 2002. For 6 semesters, he taught various classes at the Institute and was ordained through an independent organization and holds a Bachelor of Religious Studies degree from Emerson Theological Institute. And again, as I mentioned, he has his own podcast entitled, let me get it right, called Inner Quest. Am I right?
Inner Quest.
And so what I love about R. Ken, he's just a really special, but definitely authentic individual. So
awesome.
Thanks for coming on, R. Ken.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here with you two wonderful ladies. Beautiful ladies.
Oh, thank you.
With such fantastic
the check is in the mail.
Yeah. So thanks so much for having me.
Let me bring on Reverend Ken. Let me bring on our other guests so we can begin the conversation. But thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm going to bring up Kandid Scott, and both of their bios are on our site. I'm just going to give him a small introduction, but it's very. Can you all hear me, Kandid? Can you hear me, Reverend Ken?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Mr. Scott is a licensed clinical social worker, substance use disorder specialist at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Currently, this is just a small snippet of his bio. He is the proud father of Anaya, right? And let me just say this: he is also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated. There he goes. So go see his bio, more of his bio, extensive bio on our page. Welcome, Mr. Scott. How are you?
Again, excuse me. Thank you for having me, ladies, on this Friday night as we're getting ready to go into a Juneteenth and Father's Day weekend. It's thank you for honoring us dads. Yes. And I've been doing a lot of podcasts lately this week. This is my 5th one to talk about the importance of fatherhood. So I'm glad that especially us Black dads are getting the recognition and the love and the support and the advocacy that we so richly deserve. So thank you for having this forum again, K and K.
Okay.
Really appreciate you.
Great.
Oh,
Well, let me start with you, Reverend Ken. What are your thoughts on what happened this week with the passage? And then after he finishes, Mr. Scott, let me come to you. What was your thoughts on the passage of this bill this week, this Juneteenth bill?
I think it was, of course, long overdue. And hopefully it will begin, even against the tide, begin a dialogue on some of the atrocities that have occurred against citizens of this country that, just happen to be African American, but first citizens of this country. I mean, being born here, you're a citizen, no matter what they want to tell us. So I hope it's a beginning of recognizing the many atrocities that happen and the holding back, which I think it could be seen as a symbol of how they have held back what we have been due for a long, long time. This is symbolic of that, because that's exactly what they did, held back freedom from people that were free. So, it speaks volumes of their consciousness.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Scott? What were your thoughts? What happened this week? Happened so fast.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I've been celebrating Juneteenth for many years now, so whether it became an official holiday or not, it was going to get celebrated, at least with me and many others that I know. But to have it recognized, to have it affirmed, and to have it say, hey, this what needs to happen, let's make it happen, done. When I got the text message last night, because I work with the federal government, it was like, okay, guys, you don't have to come in tomorrow, you're off. Hey, wonderful 3-day Father's Day and Juneteenth celebration. Whoa. But most importantly, I posted the picture of President Biden signing, the first Black vice president standing right next to him, and all the beautiful Black folks standing around him watching this happen. And I understood that there's probably a lot of critics out there saying, wait, what? And there's even folks who look like us who have criticisms like, hey, where's our reparations? Hey. But I made a point to say, guys, go back 12 months ago. The president who was sitting in that seat, would it have happened then? Absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not. So it shows progress. 1 year later, 12 months later, and funny thing is, this week was Trump's birthday. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Happy birthday.
It's like how wonderful it was to say, hey, let's recognize that this special occasion, this prolific day happened. It happened a long time ago, and now we're going to relish in it like any other race of people. And every little thing that we get, it may not feel optimum or big to anybody, but every little bit counts. When George Floyd's murderer got prosecuted, a lot of folks was like, so what? But every little bit counts. And a bunch of little things add up to one big thing. So slowly but surely, we're getting our just due. And we just have to be patient in the process.
Yeah. Okay, Renee, did you have some questions for our guests?
Of course I do, because this is not only Juneteenth, this is Father's Day weekend. Because I know, as I shared with you, Kim, in the green room offline, that Mr. K, he is a very proud dad. I mean, everyone on his Facebook network are aunties and uncles.
Right.
Because I'm an auntie of Miss Naya. But I'm gonna pose this question to you first, Kay, and then also to R. Ken. When you found out that you were a father, when that life came and you held Anaya and held your children in your arms, what were your thoughts?
That was the greatest question you could ask me, sis. And it's funny, I've been talking about it all week. On 8/21/2002 at 12:36 a.m., I saw my daughter coming into the world. I said, "Doctor, does she have hair?" The doctor looked at me like, "Mr. Scott, don't you care about the toes and feet and stuff?" I'm like, "No, I want hair." Because I had to lighten up the room. It was so intense. It was so intense. But and let me tell you why I asked about hair. Because you know how my ex-wife looked, and you see how I look. And I had this thought process. My baby's gonna look like Chili from TLC. You know what I'm saying? So for 9 months, I know. I was like, make my baby look like Chili. Make my baby look like Chili. So when she was coming out, I'm like, oh, she got hair, black hair. Anyway, all seriousness, you know, I don't know what my life was before 8/21/02. It's a blur now because my life, the button got pushed and the restart happened right after that moment. And I made a commitment to fatherhood and good fatherhood. Why? Because one, folks, family, I grew up without a dad. I never had my dad one day of my life. So when you don't have a parent, you feel halfway. You feel denied. You feel devalued. And my thing is, if I ever brought a child in this world, they would never know one day of how I felt growing up. Secondly, I've worked for DCFS for 28 years. So you can imagine what I go to work and see, abused and neglected babies. So I'm on a mission to take care of other folks' babies. So when God blessed me with my own, he wouldn't have to worry about did I give this beautiful kid to the wrong man. It was a given that Anaya was going to be first, middle, and last. And all 18 and a half, going on 19 years of her life, I've walked that walk. And anyone who knows me knows my walk with my kid. Because let me tell you the other part to that. I've seen many broken women. Mm-hmm. And if I looked at the common thread between those broken women, they were daddyless. Mm-hmm. Or if they did have a dad, he wasn't a positive man in their life. So it let me know, Khalid, you've been blessed to have a girl child. If you don't want to send another broken woman out there in the world, have your crazy glue ready. Have your armor on and get busy with the get busy. So I raised a wonderful young woman. That's awesome. And I'm proud of that.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. What about you, Reverend Ken?
Wow. After that story, I just want to go and get a candy bar, you know, ice cream bar. Right. My evolution, and I do call it an evolution. I have had 3 children. Well, 3 ladies had 3 children. I was a part of that. I have to give them their due. And the first one certainly wasn't as warm and fuzzy an experience as the last one. It's an evolution for many of us. We may get married when we're young. We may have children when we're young and still focused on ourselves. But I can say that what fatherhood has taught me through my evolution of those 3 children, 2 of them still alive, is the fact that you come to appreciate what gift you have been given. The gift of the involvement in a person's life to bring them forward, to bring them forward. And when you realize that, then all of a sudden fatherhood takes on a whole different meaning. A well-known minister once told me, my wife and I were in counseling, he said, whatever you do, try to stay with your child. And you could see the pain in his face because he wasn't there with his daughter. And that held with me, you know, and said, well, I'm going to try my best. So becoming a father doesn't make you a father. You have to work at being a father. That's the
right.
difference. It's a bunch of fathers out here, and I'm not putting any of them down. Sunday sermon is about some of those that have, had some issues, but it's the becoming a father that really is exciting. And I bless you, brother Kay, that you became a father at the time you were a father. That is a very special gift.
It really is. Fathers get a lot of, especially Black fathers, get a lot of flack.
Yes, they do.
People are women always say, I'm a single mom, and you'll see many athletes say, I was raised by a single mom. Do you think with President Obama and the way we saw him with Malia and Sasha, that changed a little bit during his tenure? And even now, he's still very, visual. He's going on TV tonight, very visual on Twitter and Facebook. Do you think that changed a little bit? Khalid, I'd start with you.
Okay. For dads like me, we didn't need role models, because we knew what we were doing. I remember, let's go back a year ago when Kobe Bryant died. And of course, he died with his baby. And I remember the campaign of Girl Dad. So I saw all these men posting pictures with their daughter. And I remember creating a post in a Black fathers group saying, do this all year long. I challenge each and every one of you. Maybe 3 weeks had passed and you stopped seeing the Girl Dad pictures because it was just something that was trendy right then and there. And it was a beautiful thing, but I'm like, be a girl dad every day, all day. Promote this image of valuing, especially when you have a daughter. So President Obama just reinforced that, hey, be committed to your children, be committed to your legacy. You know what I'm saying? And when he held us Black men accountable, and about when he made that famous speech at the church, talking about men, you need to be accountable. And a lot of men got mad. What happened was he held a mirror up. And a lot of people didn't like that image. So it was easy to attack him and say, well, don't be that you doing the Bill Cosby on us. You know what I'm saying? You're doing the Bill Cosby. But what it is that I can't ever be hurt or damaged if that's not my truth.
Right.
But if it's an inkling of truth, man, I better go and fix that image I see.
Right.
So he just reinforced what I knew already. Be there for your children.
Right. What about you, Reverend Ken? How do you feel about that?
Well, I see it a little bit differently. If you look at the history of movies and television, there was an outcry from Black people to see our own image. When are we going to see positive images of Black people on television? When are we going to see positive Black people in the movies? So now you have the highest office in the land, and you have the Black person that you wanted to see. So it had to impact those folks outside of the strong individuals like UK. It had to impact some of them to say, I can be a father. I can do this because I see it. I see an image of it. It's not a dream. It's not someone preaching to me. Even with the piece where, he held up the mirror, as you say, and called us out to be responsible. But when you have this visual of what can be, it does affect you. It does change you. I would definitely say that just seeing him there and then seeing the type of person that he was, to see the honesty and the commitment to his family affected many, many Black, not just men, but Black people in general saying, maybe we can make a go of it. Maybe we could try a little bit harder. Maybe we can. So he certainly had a major impact on Black families and Black men in particular. Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, shout out to him for doing the Brother's Keeper. I'm getting a feedback from somebody's phone. I don't know who it is. But anyway, shout out to him for doing Brothers Cooper and the interview he did with Anderson Cooper. If you haven't gone to see that, you can go on YouTube. And the impact that it's had on the young men that he talked to 3 or 4 years ago and what they're doing now as a result of starting that program. So kudos. I'm always going to give kudos to Chicago's own best, one of the best presidents.
Absolutely.
Did you have something?
Absolutely. Gentlemen, we are still going through what is called COVID-19.
Yes.
How has this experience affected you both as fathers?
Wow. My daughter, who was my youngest, and I spent the most time with, when COVID came out, she said, well, I know my dad is not going to get a vaccination because he doesn't get shots. She heard that he was going to get a vaccination. She said, wait a minute. I don't understand. And I said, sweetheart, what I want you to consider, because you have to make up your own decision, this is more than a cough. This is more than a cold. It can take you out. And look at the 4 or 3 million people that have left. So when you make your decision, make it wisely and don't make it based on ego. Because you heard from me, I'm not going to take a shot. A lot of that had to be ego about flu and other things. But, and I reminded her when it came to, I believe it was a whooping cough. And they told me at the veterans, they said, well, if you're around elderly people or if you're around children, you could pass it on. I said, give me the shot, because I don't want to be responsible to pass anything on to anyone else. And so that had a major impact on me to go forward with it. And I still talk with her. She's still making her decision. But you can't push anybody. You can't make them do this. It's an individual decision. And there was a time that I felt that if you didn't do it, that didn't make sense to me. But I understand now. People have different reasons, and some of them are legitimate, and some of them are just egotistical. And what are you going to do when somebody's ego is saying, "I don't have to do that. I'm greater than that," or whatever they want to say? You merely walk away with your mask on.
Arkan, you know what ego stands for. You know what ego stands for, because I'm the queen of edging God out.
Yes,
that's right.
Khalid, how did did COVID affect you in being a father, if at all?
Okay, well, it was almost like a little blessing in disguise, because I had joint custody of my daughter. So I get my daughter for 2 weeks out the month, and my ex-wife gets her for 2 weeks. And so what happened was, when COVID kicked in and they had the stay-at-home order, I was at my job, and I worked for the VA, Jesse Brown Hospital. They had us to stay home. We only had to go in the office 1 day a week. And then Anaya, she went to Kenwood at the time, a CPS school. They had to stay home. So from March all the way till she got ready to go to the college in August, I was at home with my daughter. And that was the most time I got to spend with her.
Wow.
So, because you got to know, last year, getting myself mentally prepared for her to go away to college was rough. And so it was like almost God gave me this little taste of blessing. Like, let you, because you just that extra daddy. Let me give you some extra time with your baby, and then she left for college. And I was nervous, KK and Reverend K, because it was like, my baby's going away all the way in Massachusetts during COVID, and I'm not near her. I can't protect her. And let me share this. We dropped her off at college on her 18th birthday, 8/21. And how funny that was. And they made us drop her off in the parking lot. So we couldn't even go in her dorm room and help her decorate.
Oh, wow.
So on my way to the airport in Massachusetts, I'm crying. And I'm like, man, how do I get on the airplane with my baby not with me? Ladies and gentlemen, when I got to the airport, Anaya sent me a video. And it just tells you how important role modeling is for children. When she sent me the video, I hit it. She had decorated her whole dorm room, put up the microwave, put up the refrigerator, put up the computer, put up her clothes, put everything in the drawers, made up her bed. And it let me know or reinforce, Khalid, you and Lisa did your job.
We did good.
Did y'all job.
Yeah.
Because the first time she had to show her independence, she went in with it. You know, and I haven't cried since.
Oh, wow.
Because I knew my baby is okay, you know. And then, you know, the blessing was I opened up my own private practice last year. And I'm working with married couples. And that's another awesome subject matter that we can talk about on another episode. Woo! Wow.
Well, Khalil,
what the pandemic did to married couples. And I'm making all this wonderful money off of it. I promise you. So the pandemic was and then let me throw this out. My mom just caught COVID a few weeks ago, and she was in the ICU. And folks, it was touch and go, but she's been home for 2 weeks now, and she's doing well. But she was one of the people who's like, no, I don't want that vaccination, you know, because she had the mentality of, I don't want them putting something in my body. And then 3 weeks later, she caught COVID. So it's very important, listening audience members, please go and get vaccinated, because when you see your loved one in an ICU with things up their nose and you can't even go in and visit them, and we had to do FaceTime with her every night, it does something to you. And I lost 8 people I knew last year from the pandemic. So this is serious.
Wow.
This is serious.
Well, Kay, I want to just say before another question is asked that there's a lot of K's here.
It is.
But in addition to that, I have a daughter born 8/21 also.
Wow.
No way. No way.
One of those Leo Virgo people.
Oh, that's right. And see, here's the thing, gentlemen. There's no such thing as coincidence. That's God's way of being anonymous, which leads me to my next question to the two of you. Because one thing that I love to see in fathers, especially Black fathers, having that personal relationship with God. How has that been instrumental in raising your children, especially girls? I've always shared this with men, and Khalid, you know I say this. When a man has a girl, very important how he treats his wife, ex-wife, mother, sister, auntie, because it's indicative how she is going to deal with men in her future life. So how has your personal relationship with God affected you as a dad?
Wow. I'll step up, Reverend. My daughter saw me go through a lot. I was a smoker, and she saw me quit smoking, and I had no idea she was watching. But you mentioned that I was at Johnny Coleman Institute taking classes, finally graduated, that whole bit. And during that time, my daughter came up to me and said, Daddy, and she was 13, Daddy, I want to, and she was going to the junior program. She had been one of the junior programs, Youth Expressing Christ, something like that. Right. I said, well, you're in the program, so what's up? She said, I want to go to class. I said, well, you're 13. You want to go to class? She says, I want to go to class. She said, because what it did for you, I want. Wow. I want. So she was watching, and Reverend Emma said, is this her decision or yours, Arkan? And I said, this is her decision. She said, let her come. So at 13 years old, I modeled for, and I didn't know I was modeling for her. And she sat in Johnny Coleman classes, Lessons in Truth, taking it. So that's the effect that it had with my daughter. Yeah.
That's awesome. What about you, Mr. Khalid?
Let me tell you guys, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have made it through. Kay, you know this. I got divorced 9 years ago, and
Yes.
I believed in marriage because I didn't grow up seeing it, and I knew I wanted it. I was going to break the curse. I was going to break the statistics about Black men and Black women and being married and raising kids and living in homes. And when my happy ending came to an abrupt end, I had to refigure out who I was, because I just knew I was going to be married with raising my kid till the end of time. But God had a different plan. And so I remember I went through a turbulent divorce, and what happened is I had an argument with God one night. And it was, let me tell you, it was on Mother's Day. I sat in my living room, and I know wait a minute, you argued with God? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And I said, God, you know what? I'm your son. You told me you will protect me. You would honor me if I did the right thing. If I was a good person. I said, God, I'm a social worker. I serve everybody. And you're letting me go through this, God? Why? I'm your good son. Why are you making me and my baby suffer? I said, God, you got to do me right. You got to do me better, Daddy. The next day, when me and my daughter pulled up after work and picking her up from school, there was a FedEx packet at my door, and it was my refinance for my mortgage. My mortgage went down from $2,600, because remember, my mortgage was based on 2 incomes in the house.
Right.
And they took it all the way down to $1,600 the very next day, that Monday night. So God listened to me. He listened to me. He listened to me. I said, God, how do I raise a girl child? And I'm a dude. God, I don't know how to do hair. I don't know about underwear and women's stuff and da-da-da-da. He was like, I got you, because I got a village of women around you. So when my daughter needed her hair done, I took her to the beauty shop, and I hated waiting 4 hours in a beauty shop. So I stood up, and I watched how that beautician did Anaya's hair. I went to Target and bought some ceramic flat irons. And I learned how to flat iron my daughter's hair. Then when her womanhood came 2 years later at 12 years old, I got on my cell phone like, ladies, help me. What did I do? And one of my friends was like, Khalid, turn on the FaceTime. Pointed towards the aisle. I said, now help me, damn it, help me. And she said, well, get that, and get that. So everything I needed God to do for me, he did. And he did it in abundance. And today, my daughter is thriving. And we have the best relationship. I even have a sweet relationship with my ex-wife. So God is so powerful.
That's great.
Yes,
that is great. Yes, we're going to let you all go. This has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. We hope that you come back. So now, if Kay has a question, that's fine. But I have to ask you, what are you doing to celebrate? Let me ask you what you're doing for Juneteenth, if anything, and what you're doing for Father's Day.
Okay.
I'm giving a lesson online as usual about fathers, and I know I'll hear from my 2 children. Neither one lives here right now, or neither one is here, let me say right now. So that will be my joy, and relax and appreciate the fact that I'm the father of such wonderful individuals. That's my father's. And Juneteenth, just imbibing the fact that the world knows now, and they can't turn their back on us.
That's great. And what about you, Mr. Scott?
Well, I'm living a healthy living plan. So far since April 1st, I've lost 30 pounds. So tomorrow I'm going to be at the gym celebrating Juneteenth on that treadmill, instead of barbecuing, and come home and eat a lean cuisine. And then on Sunday, I'm getting with 2 of my other buddies who have daughters who live out of town. My daughter is out of town. and we're going to celebrate Father's Day as men, as brothers, and dads, and just to say, hey, we did it. We raised lovely, beautiful Black women. So let's celebrate us. So this
That's
is going to be a fun-filled weekend.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Did you have anything before we let our guests tell people how they can get in contact and when the podcasts are and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. That will first and foremost, Khalid and Arkan, Reverend Arkan, thank you so much for just another great, powerful, inspirational, candid conversation with Kim and myself. You know, I've known you guys for a long time, and as I said, I've watched the evolution of the two of you, and it just makes I'm full. My heart is full. Please let our audience know how they can get a hold of you. What's your social media links? Because I know our Reverend Arkin, he's good at the podcast, y'all. So y'all need to just.
But thank you very much.
Mr. Kirker extraordinaire.
There you go.
Y'all need some help. Talk to Khalid. Go ahead.
That's right. That's right.
Mr. Reverend, can you tell us? I have your podcast, the name of it up. Where is the podcast, and when is it? When do you do it?
Our podcast is recorded. The three ministers of Unity of Chicago South, we record. In fact, we did one earlier today. We drop on Tuesday. We drop a new podcast on Tuesday. And the easiest thing to say about it is that other than the iTunes app, you can find it at all the other apps, Spotify, and all 5 of them. We use Anchor, and Anchor distributes out to several different platforms.
Okay, great. Yeah. So you all find, and everybody can find you. Are you on Facebook and Instagram?
They can find Reverend Arkan T on Instagram. They can find Reverend Arkan on Facebook. They can find Unity of Chicago all over the place too. So yes, we can be found. Please do so.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so much. Mr. Khalid, how can everyone find you?
Okay. Well, I'm on the website, www.psychologytoday.com. So if you need mental health services, that's where you can find me. Also, I'm on all social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. And my telephone number is 312-43-SCOTT, SCOTT, 43-SCOTT. And that's where I'm at.
And what are the numbers behind the Scott? Can you tell me?
Okay. 312-437-2688.
2688?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And tell people about finding you again just one more time.
Sure. www.psychologytoday.com. And then I'm on all the social media platforms under Khalid Scott, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. And then again, my number is 312-437-2688.
Okay, great. And the only reason why I didn't put the website on there is because I don't know how to spell psychology. So being transparent. So look at them on psychologytoday.com.
Let me give you something really simple, okay? A website, rken.me. That's it. They can find me there. rken.me.
There you go. Because I was struggling with that psychology.
I hear you.
You know, even though I was born in the 60s, I still rely on that spell check. Big time.
Hey.
Big time. You all, it was wonderful to have you all on tonight. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day. Thank you for being such a great role model for all of these young men out here who are trying to do it and trying to do it well. We hope that you all will come back. Kay Renee, did you have some parting words?
Oh, you know, as I said, it just does my heart proud, and then my heart is full. I have nothing but love for the two of you, and y'all know when I start baking, you know what time it is. Just let me know.
Right. Yeah.
Got you. Love you both.
Love
Absolutely.
You too.
Thank you, ladies,
Yes.
for having
Love
us.
you too.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you all
Take care.
so much. I'm gonna take you off.
Happy
Happy Father's Day. Thank you
Thank you.
guys. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome.
Oh my
Awesome.
goodness.
So I have to give kudos to my podcast sister for getting those two great men on the show. That was excellent. That was excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
I know
and
that
before we go,
yeah.
I gotta give this nugget. I said it earlier, and both Reverend Arkin and Khalid emulates what fatherhood means. And your father is this, my father was that, and he still is, because he's doing his thing in a different experience. But a father, here's your nugget for the weekend, y'all. A father is a real man who is a protector, an anchor, but most importantly, a daughter's first love.
Yes.
And that's by yours truly. So
that's great. That's great. Well, this was a wonderful show. You all, we are going on hiatus. Yes. We have done about 16 shows, 15?
This is the 17th show.
Oh, that's really something. So we are going on hiatus. As many of you know, I am doing this acting thing, and it has become bigger than what I even thought it would be. I did a commercial this week. I'm going to start rehearsals for a play, and some other things are coming on the horizon over the next couple months. My cup runneth over. So I am excited about the things that God has done. Renee needs and she has some other things that she's doing. We may come back in from time to time with some special shows. Of course, our friend Art, he's going to be telling you all about some things that he's going to be doing. And we might have a special show with him over the next few weeks. But for now, we will be back after Labor Day. But until then, you can go back and look at some of the extraordinary shows that we have done. For two people who have never met, who really just got into this game, in February on a fluke, I think we've done a phenomenal job. So let's just give ourselves a round of applause. We have had some wonderful guests giving great advice, giving spiritual advice. I mean, we have had some wonderful shows, and I'm going to be posting those on Friday for you all to look at again. Again, we want to send the kudos and shout outs to Chef Daryl Johnson, who was on the Food Network last week. Of course, he didn't go far, but Chef said that he was happy with what he did, and he kept his price points down. So with Chef, you are a champion in our book.
Absolutely.
Just going to say that. And Chef is going to be coming around, and we'll be posting that on our page. He's coming around to Dallas, Houston, and Atlanta. So we'll be posting, and hopefully try to get him in Chicago. We'll see. But we're just excited about the things that God is doing in him and his wife's life and his partner on the show. Anything else, Kay?
Well, also we had a wonderful guest, our first international guest, Janetta Berry.
Yes.
And, her event, World Jenny's Day, will be happening in October. So we will also be posting some things that she's doing, because she's doing phenomenal things to promote mental health awareness. As all of you know, when we did our show on grief. She lost her daughter to suicide, and she is just really is evolved and really helping others deal with that pain. And so, as I said, from Miss Angel Gaines to now Reverend Arkin Turner and Khalid Scott, we just want to say really thank you, our viewing audience, for sticking with us.
Yes,
Ken said earlier, we have not met yet. I'm sure that will happen this year.
Hopefully in August.
Yes, and we're definitely going to be having some good shows coming in the fall because, as you know, 9/11 we celebrate or commemorate 20 years, and we have a special guest. We have a historic guest that's going to talk to us about 9/11. We're talking about, of course, mental health awareness, domestic violence. Well,
yes.
And here's the thing. Ladies and gents, we were asking for you during this time, if there are any shows that you want for us to just have that candid conversation, please feel free to reach out to me, to Kim at Kim's personal Facebook page at Kimberly A. Coleman, or reach out to me, K. Renee Mason, or you can go to our Facebook page, Candid Conversations with K and K. And we definitely we'll take that and definitely bring those type of conversations that need to be discussed. So even though we're on hiatus, we're still doing different things. We want to say thank you to our audience for just sticking by with us, for making us laugh, for sometimes making us cry. But at the end of the day, we just want to bring information to you that's informational, that's informative, inspiring, empowering, but always we like to keep it real. So thank you.
Yes. And keep praying, keep praising God, and keep pushing towards the dreams that you want. I'm a living witness. It's never too late. With that said, I'm Kim Coleman, Sister Girl Speaks. That's K. Renee.
K. Renee Mason of Karen's Nuggets. Thank you so much. Have a great Juneteenth. And happy Father's Day to all dads.
Happy Father's Day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.